What's up? What's up? What's up, Facebook fam? It is Tuesday, and you know what goes down here on Tuesday. Wife Chat goes down here on Tuesday. So I pray that you guys are having an amazing start to your week. For me, I had my grandbaby this weekend, and he has a bad cold, and he decided he wanted to spread it to everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I truly appreciate you. He wanted to spread it to everybody. So my son is sick, and the baby mama's sick, and now my oldest son is sick, and so I'm praying and whatever. But I started wearing a mask around that little joker. So hopefully you guys are off to a great weekend. Thank you for all the love that you gave my grandbaby on Friday. I appreciate you guys. Again, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. Make sure that you're put in the chat where you're joining me from. I want to show you some love. And so, like I said, I hope you guys are starting off. And again, thank you guys so much for joining me. Make sure you're hitting the share button and letting all my one sexy wives know that Wife Chat is going down here. Just make sure that you're hitting the share button. Also, put in the chat where you're joining me from. I love to give you a shout out. A few things this weekend on Saturday. I know you guys have seen me advertise it. I'm going to be doing a hello fit body. Hi fit body. I like that. Hello, hello. Tell me where you're joining me from, please. I know you're on my YouTube channel, so thank you so much for tuning in from on my YouTube channel. I truly appreciate you. Um, but I will be holding a workshop called On the Brink, right? And this is a workshop for anybody who is thinking about throwing in the towel, figuring that they can't make it, they got a lot going on in their marriage. If you follow me and know my story, you know that I have been on the brink before, but Gil and I was able to come back off of it, right? Hey Danielle, how are you from Texas? Yes, you know I'm a Texas girl. You know I'm originally from San Antonio. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. And so I'm joining you. I'm in North Carolina. Thank you so much. Love your advice. Thank you. I appreciate you so much, Fit Body. I appreciate you, and I thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel. You guys are watching me from a YouTube channel, so I appreciate you guys. I really do. I just started growing my YouTube channel last year, and God has really blessed that. So thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, and thank you guys so much for joining me. And so anyway, if you're on the brink and you're struggling in your marriage, I am going to give you no fluff. I'm going to give you 5 steps that I took to turn my marriage around, right? And so if you are interested in joining me, I'm going to put the links and stuff in there. Hi Victor, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me. Again, you guys, thank you so much for joining me here tonight. Tonight, this chat comes from a wife in Alabama. And she hit me up in my DM, and she's like, Dr. Gail, help me treat my husband like a man. Help me treat my husband like a man. Hi, Chantel. Thank you for joining me from Jamaica. I appreciate you so much. But I when she sent me this help me treat my husband like a man, that resonated with me because wow, yeah, that resonated with me because I understand where she is, and I understand how hard it can be for a woman, and especially if you are strong, especially if you work your own job, especially if you bring a lot to the table and you feel that when you got married, the person is not, rising to the occasion and not doing and saying and being what you need them to be, the head of the household, a person that covers you, a person that comes up with a plan, all of those things. And I'm saying some of these things because that was some of the things that she said to me in her her DM, and I understand where she is. But let me just tell you, for some reason, God has put me in a position where a lot of what I consider big mouth, bossy women, which I include myself in that. That's the reason why I started doing the work that I do, right? Um, are attracted to me. And so I too needed help years ago because I had literally used my mouth as a lethal weapon to demasculate my husband, right? And it wasn't that I intentionally did it. It was just that that's how I was raised. You don't need a man to do anything. You could be successful or whatever. So at 21, when I got married to Gil, I had my own house, my own car, my own job. I was doing my own thing, right? And that's how I was raised, and it carried over into my marriage. And so what I want to say to this young lady in Alabama, that is, you're not hopeless. There is hope for you, and you can turn things around. But the number one thing that most men want when I talk to them doing, either my 15-minute free consultation or when they actually get into coaching and counseling or whatever, is respect. And it's hard sometimes when you think that your spouse is not doing what you think that they should be doing it and how they should be doing it, right? And you have to walk a fine balance, because the way you think things should always go might not be the right way for it to go. But in your mind, since you're a boss, since you know how things should run, since he has not rose to the occasion, since you don't think that he has the ability to lead, since you don't think that he's doing all the things that you need for him to do, it makes it very difficult. But I want you to look at some of these things, and I'm going to give you 5 things that you can implement, my wife from Alabama, to literally start the process of allowing your husband to lead. And I had to realize that Gil was a whole person before I married him. I had to realize that I was not Gil's mother, that I was his wife. I had to realize that he was going to make mistakes just like I make mistakes. I had to realize that wherever he was weak, I needed to be strong, and vice versa. I had to realize everything that I was thinking in my head, I did not have to say to him, because it was very hurtful. And so the first thing is that every man needs respect. They need to feel that you respect them, right? It's okay to disagree, but it's another thing to disagree and be disrespectful, right? That's the first thing. The other thing is that you need to figure out when, what, and how you lost respect for your husband. Because until you are able to pinpoint when, how, and what made you lose respect for him, it's going to be very hard for you to regain it. Because I know in my situation, I kept telling Gil I wanted him to lead. You need to lead me. I need a strong man. I need all of these things. But every time he would get ready to say we're doing X, I'm like, that's dumb. We're doing this. So eventually I kept changing the game. I was saying one thing out of my mouth to him, but I was doing something else. So he just gave up, because he's like, I'm not going to be able to win with you no kind of way. As soon as I said we're going right, you are definitely going to go left, because you think right is not, you've never been exposed to right. So you're going to go left. Right. And so we say we want something out of our mouth, but our actions and the way we handle things is totally different. So you have to identify where, when, and how you lost respect for your husband. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you need to change your negative talk towards him to positive things, because where you water will grow. Where you water will grow. So for me, every time Gil said, let's go left, I went right, right? And so eventually he was like, she's gonna go left regardless. So why even do it? So she says she wanted me to be the head of the household, but then she calls me weak. And when I try to be strong, then she's like, who you think you talking to? And it just became this thing, right? So change your negative talk, right? Put him in a position where he feels and he knows that you support whatever decision he makes. Is he going to make bad decisions sometimes? Absolutely. But you do too. Absolutely. You do too. The question becomes is you don't want to talk so much and be so bossy and be so out of control, right? That he doesn't even listen when you're trying to tell him this is the wrong decision, right? Because at the end of the day, I drove Gil to be from one extreme to another, where he didn't even want to listen to nothing I had to say. But I caused that. But in the interim, I didn't realize that I had caused that. I hope I'm making sense. Number 3, remember what you focus on flourishes. So for me, I had to switch, literally switch. And I had to give it to God and say, God, whatever decision, whatever direction, whatever vision God has for me and my family, you take control of it and allow him to make good decisions. So for me, I start putting all my frustrations and all the things that I wanted to say and had said to Gil, I started giving it to God. Literally, I did, because I was like, I am bumping my head. It's not working. I'm frustrated. I'm like at my wit's end. I feel like I got a third child, like all of those things that we say, right? So I had to give it to God. And I said, God, I thank you that Gil makes godly decisions and that he thinks it out and that he asks me my opinion and I give him good sound advice. I started speaking those things as though they were. Start speaking those things. I start sowing for what I wanted to see instead of tearing down what I did not want, right? Number 4, remember, you guys are on the same team. And that was a hard one for me, because when I used to call Gilbert stupid, I didn't realize I was calling myself stupid, because we became one flesh, right? And so I had to start thinking. And I use this in all of my counseling and my coaching or whatever. And I'm going to say, Gail, do you have to say this right now? Gail, is what you're about to say, are you going to have to apologize for later? And Gail, is what you're about to say, do you want to say it back to you? If you can remember those 3 things, it's going to change how you communicate with your spouse. It's going to change how you communicate with your children. It's going to change how you communicate with anybody in your life. Do I have to say this right now? Am I going to have to apologize for it later? And what I'm about to say out of my mouth, do I want it said back to me? And most of the time, when you give yourself and take yourself through the 3-step process, you won't say half of the stuff that you say to your spouse, because you're literally saying it back to you. I know when I lost respect for my husband, it was when he lost part of his income. Sarah, I understand that. I truly understand. Sometimes when you have a spouse that's making less than you or is not working, especially in this climate right now, it can become very hard and you can lose respect for them, because society says that they're supposed to be providing and the head of the household and taking care of you, and you're supposed to rest. But let me just tell you that a lot of times, right, with the society and the climate we're living in, it is happening more and more and more, right? And my prayer is when your husband lost half of his income and you became more of the provider, financial provider, that he went to work and took some of that pressure that you would have had at home off of you. That's my prayer for you. right? And if that has not happened, you need to sit down and have a conversation with your spouse, because what's going to happen is you're going to continue down that path of losing respect for him, and you're going to start telling him how much you make and how you take care of everything, and you're going to become the boss in the relationship, and that's not the will of God for your marriage. So Sarah, thank you for being open and honest, and thank you for joining me on my YouTube channel. I appreciate you so much. So remember that you guys are on the same team and you guys want the same results, right? So that starts with a conversation and listening to understand and not listening to respond. That's a hard one, especially when you're a boss. Listening to understand and not always to respond, because you got to be on the same page. So, number 5, you need to nurture and become his biggest fan, right? We as women, especially, are huge on being able to point out every single thing that they do wrong. We're big on that, right? And like I said, I am not throwing no shade on no wife that's listening to me, because I was her, right? And still can be her. But if we find it very, 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 very hard to point out what they're doing right. And everybody needs some praise sometimes. Everybody needs some praise sometimes. And let me tell you, about 10 years ago, I was like, if you asked me what was wrong with what Gail was not doing right, I could list out 100 things within 10 minutes, and I'm not even lying. But when somebody would ask me, what was he doing right? I would struggle. I'd be like, So literally, God led me on this journey. And he said, for 30 days, I want you to find something that Gail does right every single day for 30 days. And I want you to write it down. Because again, I was quick. I could tell you. And when I get on these coaching calls, the women can tell me all the stuff their husband do wrong. And I said, well, what do they do? What do they do right? You married him, so what did he do right? And you looking like, wow. Because nobody had ever asked me that question until God asked me that question. Not none of my girlfriends, nobody. God asked me that question. Well, what does he do right, Gail? So he led me on this journey, and for 30 days, and let me tell you, for the first 5 days, I said stupid stuff like, thank you for taking out the trash. Thank you for waking up. Because I was in that space where I was like, I'm done, right? But I had to realize that he did so many things right. And why not focus and nurture those things? And at the end of the 30 days, I gifted him the paper that I wrote. And let me just tell you, I've been married to my husband 33 years, and I've only seen him cry 4 times. That was once, the first, when my children was born. That time I gifted him, when the time I gifted him the 30-day challenge, and when his mother passed away. Those are the times I've seen my husband cry. He said, gee, I never realized that you paid attention to anything I did right, because you never told me that in all of those years that we was married. So my thing to you is, wife from Alabama, find some things that your husband does right, because we're talking about help me treat my husband like a man. And I want to say to you, I have been privileged to talk to men from all over the world. I have been privileged to coach over 6,000 women and couples in my career, right? And most of the time when I speak to the man, all they want from us women is for us to respect them, to allow them to speak, and to listen. That's the basic things that they want from us. And we have a hard time giving it because the society that we grow up say that we have to be better, do better, and we have to compete. But you shouldn't be competing in your own household. I need to talk to you. I need an appointment with you. Okay, Sarah, if you go to my website, gailcrowder.com, you could click an icon right on the top thing and you can schedule a free discovery call. I would love to speak with you. He's a veteran. He has all the bed all day. He's in bed all day. Don't even clean up anything. I feel overwhelmed. Okay, he might be dealing with some mental stuff going on with the veteran thing going on. I have to get a job and I'm on 24/7 oxygen, 24 hours, 7 days a week oxygen. I'm so sorry to hear that. So again, Sarah, if you would like, go visit gailcrowder.com. I will put that link. I will put the link to my website in the chat as well. You ladies, I have two things going on. On Saturday, it's not too late to register for On the Brink, and I'm going to put that in the chat as well. I'm going to talk to you and give you some tools and strategy. If you on the brink of walking away from your marriage, just give me 2.5 hours. Give me 2.5 hours. And I'm going to literally give you the tools and strategies that I use because Gil and I have been on the brink twice. And I'm not talking about just talking about, I'm talking about we had papers signed, ready to be signed. And God said, give me one more round. So I'm going to talk to you about that. Then bringing sexy back to the marriage. 2022 is we're only down to 50 seats. And I know you're like, that's a lot of seats. No, it's not. Because literally since last week, I've had like 15 people to register. So if you're thinking about coming to Bringing Sexy Back to the Marriage, I'm not having my conference as large as it usually is. You need to register. Hey, Denise. Hey, Sissy. How are you? All right. So I just put the information for On the Brink and on the conference website in the chat. Okay. So make sure that you go and register for those two things. And I'll just put my website and you can get to all of this stuff in my website, gailcrowder.com. But my prayer is that you guys got something out of this teaching. You're welcome, Denise. I appreciate you. You guys, thank you so much for joining me on my YouTube channel. That is hot. Thank you guys for joining me here on Facebook. Again, I thank you guys so much for all your support, for all your love, for all your comments. Just know if I didn't get to your comment or whatever, once I get off of here, I always go back and I always comment and I will answer any of your questions. If you have any questions that you want me to answer here on Wife Chat, all you need to do is DM me. You can email me or whatever, and I will always answer your question. I will never say your name. The only thing I do ask is that you tell me where you're from, like this wife from Alabama. And I will make sure that I get you in the rotation. And I always will, however you sent me the question, I will always say I'm answering your question tonight so you can be present. But if you're not present, just know that this stays up on my page so you can go back and watch it. I love you guys to pieces. If you need me, please, please, please reach out. I don't want you in a situation where you're ready to throw in the towel where there's help for you. Okay. I love you guys. Have an amazing, amazing night. Thank you, Jamaica. Thank you, Texas. Thank you. I'm just excited. Goodbye.